Ms. Koch, are you there?
I am.
Okay, I'm just waiting for the jail to connect. And I see we got Mr. Truce connected. Mr. Truce, just a quick question before we have either of the individuals brought in. Are you or had you been representing either of these folks prior to the revocation of their bond?
No, Mr. Leland was represented by originally Ravi Gurmurthy, and it was handed off to Adam Vernon. And Miss Leland is represented by Jason.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'm going to ask Jen to call over to the jail real quick and see what the holdup is there. So if you can both just hold on. Thank you.
We were doing a preliminary examination and we had a different defendant in Judge Burmeister's room. So they're probably switching out the defendants right now. They were in jail.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you. And checking with the jail just in case, just to make sure they're aware. Okay, ma'am, can you tell me your name, please?
Kimberly Leland.
All right, Miss Leland, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, 1 second here. Let's go on the record. This is People versus Kimberly. Oops, I'm sorry. Kimberly Leland. This is Crawford County case number 245281. If I could have both counsel put your appearances on.
Sierra Coke on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Your Honor. Richard Trush appearing on behalf of Miss Leland.
Okay, and the record should reflect, I did talk to counsel prior to going on the record, and Mr. Trush, you're appearing for purposes of this hearing today, but Miss Leland does have counsel currently assigned to her, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so Miss Leland, you're before the court here today for a bond hearing. Your bond was previously revoked back in January of 2024. Ms. Koch, the bench warrant doesn't specify, but do you, and I'm obviously conducting this hearing from Otsego County, so I don't have the file. Was this pursuant to an ex parte motion from your office?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have the reason why the bond was revoked?
Well, we had a random drug test that no showed. That was on 3/25, and then on 4/4, she had an active bench warrant from 1/18. Her ride fell through, and she was not allowed to appear via Zoom because of the bench warrant. So she's failed to appear for court, failed to appear for drug tests. And then on 1/7, she admitted using meth to Kelly Anderson, our pretrial person, and they were gonna pay for a confirmation. And then she tested positive on 1/8/24.
Okay, all right, so we haven't been able to proceed with her case since that time due to the Miss Leland's whereabouts being unknown.
Yes, I think Craig's bail bondsman may have been the person that secured her appearance here today.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the court is going to set this for a status conference at its next available date. Ms. Leland and her counsel of record will both be provided with notice of the date and time of that hearing so we can proceed with their case. In terms of a new bond pending that hearing, Ms. Koch, do the people have any position on that?
Well, I think her bond was revoked by the bail bondsman. So I'd ask for a high cash bond. I mean, she's been absconding for well over a year. So I don't know that bond at all is appropriate at this point, but I would defer to the court on that.
Thank you, Mr. Trush.
Your Honor, so I think the prosecutor's recitation of what happened is mostly true. I think it is accurate that the bondsman has canceled her bond, but frankly, I think the court canceled the bond and the bondsman canceled it after she was returned to the jail so that they can recover their money effectively. So I candidly, I think the bond that's presently in place, even if reinstated, I don't think she has the ability to post it. To categorize this as her whereabouts were unknown, I think is I think that's a little disingenuous. Her address remains the same as it's been, the same address that our office had on file for her underlying case. I mean, the issue here, frankly, for non-appearance, while it might be academic to the court, is poverty. She didn't have a way to get up here to address it. She tried to appear via Zoom. She couldn't. I mean, she's been in the same location ever since then. She's been living in the same house. It's an address that I believe the court has because it's listed in her paperwork. So, I mean, what I would ask of the court, more than my suggestion that the bond should be reinstated or lowered or raised, I would ask the court to consider setting this as quickly as possible. We would be willing to waive notice if the court were willing to set it on Monday, the 20th. From my discussions with Ms. Leland and brief discussion with counsel of record, I think it's very likely we may have a resolution at that time. And I would just indicate she has no prior history. She's eligible for treatment under 7411, and the offer does contemplate that. So I would suggest to the court a high bond doesn't seem appropriate.
Okay, hold on one second. I took a slight pause there just to check with Jennifer, my assistant. And we do have availability on Monday during the court's afternoon docket there in Crawford County. So we're going to place Ms. Leland's case on the docket for Monday. I do want to make sure that Ms. Leland appears for that hearing, given regardless of the reason for the failure to appear. The court does find that a high bond is necessary at least until Monday, so that we can ensure that Ms. Leland will be available for that appearance so that we can proceed with her case. I certainly would be open to a motion by her counsel of record on Monday to modify that bond depending on what happens at that hearing. But again, for purposes of today and for purposes of ensuring that she does appear for that hearing on Monday, the court is going to set bond in the amount of $50,000 cash or surety with all standard terms and conditions of bond. And again, we'll get this motion or this case on for hearing on Monday. Ms. Koch, anything further on this file?
We would just ask that if we're going to run a hearing on the test, that the person that did the testing be allowed to appear by Zoom.
Mr. Truce, do you have any objection to that?
No, no objection.
Okay. Okay. All right. Ms. Leland, did you have any questions about how we're going to proceed with your case?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all for this hearing. And if you can let the officer there know that they can bring Mr. Leland into the box there.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Sir, is your name Eric Leland?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll go on the record in People versus Eric Leland. This is Crawford County file number 245280. The record should reflect Mr. Leland is appearing today by video from the Crawford County Jail. And if I could have counsel put your appearances on in this file, please.
Eric Koch on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Your Honor. Richard Trush appearing on behalf of Mr. Leland.
All right, and as with the previous case, I did have a discussion with Mr. Trush prior to going on the record. Mr. Leland currently has appointed counsel. Is that correct, Mr. Trush?
That is correct. Initial counsel appointed was Mr. Gurmurthy. I believe Mr. Vernon is presently counsel of record.
Okay. And so as with the prior case, the court is going to set this for a hearing on Monday for a status conference so that we can proceed in Mr. Leland's case. Similar to the last case, Mr. Leland has been absconded from the court since believe, January of 2024. Ms. Koch, in terms of the bond pending a hearing in this case, do the people have any recommendations?
Yeah, similar to the last case, his bond was revoked a long time ago. He tested positive on 2 different occasions. You know, the bondsman had to obtain their presence today. He has a pretty significant criminal history, including delivery and manufacture in 2018, attempt delivery and manufacture in 2007, delivery manufactured in 2002, and then in 1999 assault and battery. I don't think that bond is appropriate given the circumstances. Thank you.
Mr. Trush?
Again, Your Honor, similar to the last case, what's reported to me is they've had stable housing. They've lived in that housing basically the entire time of absconding. It was reported to me that for the last 18 months to 2 years or so, they've been at the address on Stabler Street in Lansing. I don't think it was an issue of, not knowing where they were or them hiding from the court. I think it was truly an economic issue of getting to the court to address the matter. I would indicate, the record that the prosecutor reported is consistent with what Mr. Leland reported to me. And frankly, I think that's really the only difference between this file and the last file is Mr. Leland has a little bit more of a history, whereas Miss Leland, I think it is reasonable to expect that her offer probably doesn't contain much, if any, upfront jail. I do think for Mr. Leland, the calculus is a little different. He, I think, is likely looking at scoring on a straddle cell under the offer.
Okay. All right. Given, again, that the failure to appear and the fact that that has gone on for well over a year at this point, the court does have concerns about Mr. Leland appearing before the court, even for that hearing on Monday. So the court finds that a high bond is necessary, at least between now and then, to ensure Mr. Leland's appearance. So as with Ms. Leland, the court will set bond in the amount of $50,000 cash or surety with all standard terms and conditions. The court will set this for a hearing on Monday. As with Ms. Leland's case, the court would certainly hear any motion for modified bond at that time from Mr. Leland's counsel, depending on what happens at that hearing. But again, I find specifically between now and then, for the purposes of ensuring that Mr. Leland will appear, that a high bond is necessary. So that's how we'll proceed. Mr. Leland, did you have any questions about how we're going to go forward with your case?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Ms. Koch, anything? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Trush.
I was gonna say, I imagine that Ms. Koch was about to bring this up, but similar to the last case in regards to Mr. Leland's case, in order to facilitate us being able to get the hearing set in a quick manner, we would waive in-person presence from the lab personnel, again, in order to secure that we can get this at a quicker date.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Koch, anything further from your side?
Nope, my questions have been answered. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for this hearing today, and all parties are free to disconnect at this time.